starting on page 62 in the book. There's a little table right there that if you want to highlight, that's a very helpful reference. This length, volume, weight, and time. So these are the most common units that we'll be converting between right there. So you can always flip back and find that. So we're really just working with fractions when we do conversions. We just write them a little bit different. Here's an example. 1 foot. What is the equivalent of 1 foot in inches?
Well,
Okay. So 1 foot
20 centimeters.
equals 12 inches, right? So that's just another way of saying 1 foot and 12 inches are the same thing. Or I can write it the other way around. 12 inches is the same as 1 foot. So depending on where I need my units to be, I need to keep track. Do I want my feet on the top or my feet on the bottom? So depending on what I'm trying to get to will answer that question for me. So let's say I have 5 feet and I want to convert that to inches. If I set it up as a fraction conversion, what's my feet to inches ratio? Okay, 12 inches, 1 feet. I need feet to cancel. So when I'm canceling with fractions, can I cancel straight across or do I need to cancel diagonal?
Okay.
Diagonal. So that means my feet needs to go down on the bottom. Okay? I would write 1 and 12 inches on top. So then my feet cancel out. And 5 times 12 is 60 over 1, which is 60 inches. So it's just the same principle no matter how many steps you have in the conversion. You're just working with fractions, and you'll cancel diagonal across. Okay, so how about another one? Feet into yards. What's the conversion? 1 yard.
Equals 3 feet.
3 feet. So how else can I write that?
36 inches.
Okay. I can write 1 yard is equal to 36 inches. Or I can write 3 feet equal to 36 inches. Or 1 foot equal to 12 inches. Those all mean the same thing, right? Or they're all equivalents.
I don't quite understand why we're doing this.
We're going to be converting, let's say I want to convert feet per second into miles per hour. So I'll use this format where I have different fractions set up to cancel out the different units.
How do you know which one goes on top?
It's all depending on what information I need to get out of the problem. So in this one, I had a feet measurement and I wanted to get to inches. So that means I need my feet to cancel and leave me with inches. So I would set it up so my feet are diagonal from each other and they cancel out and leave me with inches.
Is there any way you could have done it up and down because you simplify up and down with multiplication, right? Or is that not?
You can, but the conversions we're going to be working with will be multiple steps, so it's easiest just to write it out and then go through and cancel.
Could you have canceled out feet by writing something below 5?
No, because this is the fraction I need to use, is the feet to inches equivalent. It will make more sense as we go. Okay, so right here on this chart, what are some other equivalents? Miles to feet, what's the equivalent?
1 mile equals 5,280 feet.
1 mile, 5,280 feet. Okay. So I can write it that way, or I can flip it over and put feet on the top and mile on the bottom. What about gallons to quarts? What's the equivalent on that one?
So it doesn't really matter which one's on top, you just arrange it how you need the unit to come out.
It's like writing a 1 over a 1.
Okay, because 1 mile does equal 5,000.
Right, they're equal to each other, so it doesn't matter which one is on the
Okay.
top and which one is on the bottom, because they still equal 1.
It's your second set of fraction that makes the determination for you, because if it's saying it needs you, if it tells you have 10,560 feet, how many miles is that? Then you would have 2 miles is equal to 10,560 feet, and it helps you convert it by crossing out the miles.
We'll
Your
do a
second set,
yeah,
whatever
we'll
it's
do a
wanting
bunch
you
of
to figure out,
conversions.
is your determining factor.
Okay.
So gallons to quarts, what's the ratio there?
4.
4 quarts and 1 gallon, so I can write it, how many ways?
1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts.
1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So I can write it like that, or I can write it like 4 quarts is equal to 1 gallon. I'm saying the same thing. I'm just arranging it in the way that's most helpful to me. How about hours and days?
24 hours, 1 day.
24 hours, 1 day. How about hours, minutes?
16.
So let's say I want my hours to cancel. Where should I put hours? Top or bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom.
Bottom. Hours on bottom. So 1 hour is how many minutes?
60.
60 minutes. Okay, so my hours cancel. Hours cancel. What am I left with?
24 times 60.
24 times 60, which is? Our calculator. You're going to use it a lot today.
1440.
1440 over what? What's 1 times 1?
1.
1. So what are the units I was left with?
1440 minutes is equivalent to 1 day.
Minutes and days. Okay? So I would have 1440 minutes in a day. So see how my hours canceled out?
Cool.
It is cool.
Did you figure that out?
Did I figure that out? Okay, so let's start on page 63 and work through some of these examples. So our example 1 is convert 7 yards into feet. Okay, so they give me a measurement and then they ask me to convert it. So what's the conversion of yards to feet?
3.
Which goes where?
You want the feet on the top.
Okay, I want feet on top, yards on bottom, right? Because I want my yards to cancel out. So that way yards will cancel. I'll be left with feet. And then what's the ratio?
3
3 to
feet in
1.
1 yard.
3 feet in 1 yard. So then just multiply across. It's a fraction.
21 feet.
21 feet. And it's over 1. So in 7 yards there are 21 feet. How about how many inches are in 7 yards? So start over. I need yards to cancel, so yards goes where?
On the bottom.
On the bottom. 3 feet, 1 yard. Okay, so then yards and yards are gone. Okay, and then I set up my next conversion.
You need feet to cancel, so it goes on the bottom.
Okay, I need feet to cancel. I want to end up with inches. So I need feet on the bottom and inches on the top. And then feet cancels, feet cancels. So what's the ratio of feet to inches?
12 inches.
12 inches equals 1 foot. Now all my terms have canceled except for inches, so that's what my answer will be. Then multiply 7 times 3, 21, times 12.
252
252, and what's the unit of measurement I was left with?
inches.
Inches.
And you can check that by dividing it. Or how would you double check that to make sure you got it correct?
How would you double check that? So I want to go backwards. 252 inches. I want to go backwards and convert to yards. So how should I set it up?
You can divide it by 36 because you know 36 inches is a yard.
Okay, if I do it the long way, inches to feet. Where do I put inches? Where do I put feet?
Inches on the bottom.
Inches on the bottom, feet on the top. So then my inches will cancel, What's the ratio of feet to inches?
1 to 12.
1 foot, 12 inches. And then I need to go back from feet to yards. So where do I want feet?
On the bottom.
On the bottom, so they cancel. Okay, so feet will cancel, and I'm left with yards. And what's the ratio?
3 feet to a yard.
1 yard equals 3 feet. So I'm still multiplying fractions. What's my number on top?
252.
252. And what's my number on bottom?
51. No, 36.
36. Okay, so then I grab my calculator. 252 divided by 36, 7. And what was my unit I was left with? Yards. So that's the beautiful thing about conversions. You can always go back and check your work by working it in reverse. All right. Example 2. Convert 36 inches into feet. Okay. So feet to inches, which goes where?
Inches on the bottom.
Okay, 12 inches on the bottom. Ratio 1 foot on the top. Inches cancel. Multiply across, so it's 36 over 12. And that will simplify into what? 3. And what was the unit I was left with? Feet. 3 feet. Okay. Convert 4 miles into feet. So what's the feet to mile ratio?
5,280.
Do I want miles on the top or bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom. So 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. Miles cancel. So 4 times 5280,
21,120.
21,120. And what unit did I have? Feet. So 4 miles is 21,120 feet. A track runner is in a 1,320 feet race. Okay, convert to miles. So, miles to feet. Which goes where?
Feet on the bottom.
Okay, feet on the bottom. How many feet in a mile?
5280.
5280. You'll be really sick of that number by the end of today. 5280. Feet cancel. Left with miles. It's a fraction. So 1320 over 5280.
Quarter mile.
0.25 miles. Good? Okay. Example 3, page 64. Change 7 miles into inches. So what's the first step?
Convert it into feet.
Okay, convert miles to feet. So miles on top or bottom?
Mile on bottom.
Okay, 1 mile on bottom. Feet on top. The miles cancel. And then I need to set up the next fraction.
Can you back up? What was this question asking?
Change 7 miles into inches.
It's example 3 on
Page 64. You want to follow along?
You could just go right to inches.
You can, but when you have multiple steps, it's easiest to do each one.
Holy cow.
Okay. So what's the ratio of feet to inches?
12.
12, top or bottom?
12 on top.
Okay.
12 inches on top.
12 inches on top, 1 foot on bottom. So then feet cancel, left with inches.
443520.
443,520
Inches.
inches. 443,520 inches in 7 miles. Change 6,160 yards to miles. So do miles and yards, are those equivalents?
There, you can get there.
You can.
How do
if
I
you
get
know
there?
how.
Alright, you're gonna go, convert that to feet first.
Okay, I have to convert yards to feet. They're not the same measurement system, so yards to feet, top or bottom?
Yards on the bottom,
Yards on bottom,
and 36,
feet on top. What's the ratio?
3.
3 feet, 1 yard. Yards cancel, and then now I can go
The miles.
to miles. So feet on top or bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom. So 5,280 feet, bottom, 1 mile top. So then feet cancel. It's a fraction, so multiply across. So 6160 times 3,
18,480.
18,480 over 5280 on bottom.
3.5.
What?
3.5.
3.5?
3.5 miles.
3.5 miles. We okay on yards, miles, feet?
It's tricky. That one's away.
You have to pay attention, or I have to pay attention, otherwise
You do, or else you'll end up putting your fraction backwards, and then you end up with 2 or 3 different units and the wrong number.
and the wrong number.
Okay, how about if we go, say we go 53 inches, and I want to convert that to miles. How would I do that?
Alright, you gotta convert it to feet first.
Okay, go to feet first. So what's the ratio,
12.
Bart?
I'm just lost. This is all going way over my head.
Okay.
Can we slow down a little bit?
Mhm.
What are you doing with 53?
I'm going to convert 53 inches into miles.
Convert 53. That's
It's
just
gonna be a very
You-
small
It'll
decimal.
be a very small decimal. I'm just trying to set up another example for you to see.
She wants to know how many miles are 53 inches.
Okay.
So you want to find out how much of a fraction of a mile 53 inches is?
Yes.
Is another way of saying it?
Yes.
Okay.
So here's my first ratio, right? 1 foot is equal to,
Okay, can we go
12
back for a
inches.
second? So, okay, you want to find a fraction then. That's what you want to end up with.
or a decimal.
Or a decimal. So you want to get rid of that inches word
Mhm.
to come up with fraction. Okay, so the very first step is to get rid of that inches?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my
Sorry.
first unit I need to get rid of is inches. I want to go from inches to miles, and there's going to be more than one step along the way, right? Because there's not a standard conversion on our table for inches to miles.
Okay. So our first step is to get rid of inches.
First step to get rid of inches. Now I'm in feet, and then feet to miles. What's the ratio of feet to miles, Bart?
5,000.
5,280 feet in 1 mile. So then I got rid of feet, right? Okay.
Now he just times across.
So what's the answer going to be left with? Miles. All my other units have canceled. So it's just a fraction. So 53 times 1 times 1 is 53
Over 5,200.
times 12. So 5280 times 12 on the bottom,
63,360.
63,360.
Then to come up with a fraction, you divide 63,360 by 53.
Okay, so then grab your calculator. 53 divided by 63,360.
0.0083649.
Okay, so let's round 836. What place is that? Tens, hundreds, thousands?
10,000.
So about 8
10,000.
10 thousandths
Of
of
a
a mile. So these are kind of ridiculous examples, which you'd never need, but it's demonstrating the technique for how you would do the conversion.
Someone was getting ready
Thanks
to
for
run a
slowing
mile
down
and
my
it took
head.
about 3 steps.
Right.